Alright everyone, today I want to make a video about overclocking the Intel 4710HQ processor. Now for this you're just going to need Intel Extreme Tuning Utility. This is very simple to get. Just go online and you download it. It works for this processor as well as a few others. And this is a 2.5 to 3.5 gigahertz processor. You can control it in here. You click on all controls. It'll make you say, yes, I accept. Now in here there's a few options. What we're going to mess with is the dynamic voltage offset. That's going to change the averaging voltage. And you can bring this down to negative 50. I leave mine about negative 35 MV. And as long as you're going to only max out what this program allows you to, you can bring this down to about negative 50. It's going to help your temperatures. Here I set my Turbo Boost max power to 46.5 watt, and I set my Turbo Boost short power max to 58. As we go down, I also lowered my processor catch offset to the same, negative 35, that I had my dynamic CPU voltage at, negative 35. So set your dynamic CPU voltage and processor catch voltage offset the same. And I also turned down my graphics a little bit because this is your Intel graphics. My computer uses an 860M for regular graphics, but it uses this for websites, and as well it also uses the Intel I think it's a 4600 in here. It also uses that for physics in some programs. But you can turn that down, save some heat. In a laptop, saving heat's important. So as you can see, I'm actually doing a video editor right now. It's rendering a video. And my CPU usage is pretty darn high. I'm set at 2.7 gigahertz and I'm at 71 degrees about. And that's it. That's pretty amazing for this processor. But lots of people are going to want to overclock. And here's where you overclock. First we talked about voltage. Here's where our overclocking settings. And I've set mine to 2.7 gigahertz, 27 across the board. Whatever you set this to, it's basically going to be like 2.7 gigahertz. You set this to 28. 2.8 gigahertz, 2.9, 3.0. This is your first core. You could set this all the way up, set all these all the way up. I'm rendering right now, so everything's a little slow. And now if we set these all the way up to max that the program allows, when one core is active we'll have 3.7, when two cores are active we'll have 3.6, when three or more cores are active we'll have 3.5 gigahertz across the board. And then we got our catch right here. Even with my negative volt, I can apply this, but check out what happens when I click apply to my temperature. I just clicked apply. Now watch my gigahertz here go up. Watch my temperature soar. And thermal throttling is it's slowing down the processor because it's getting too hot. Check out these temperatures soar, and it's actually telling my processor, hey, you're too hot. You can't even run at full speed. We're only going to allow about 3.2 gigahertz because we need to slow you down. You're getting too hot. So you can run this processor at max, but it's really only going to run at about 3.2. So actually, depending on your laptop and your cooling, you're going to want to see what it runs at, because 3.2 is about the maximum I'm allowed to get. It's going to slow me down because my temperature gets too high. So 3.2 is the highest I'm going to get on this laptop. Every laptop's going to have different cooling. So if you're getting 3.2 max, you might as well set everything to 3.2. And now your computer is just going to run always at 3.2. I just set it. You'll see thermal throttling just went way down from like 40. It's still throttling me a little bit around 3.18, but it's not as bad. The thermal throttling keeps going down as the temperature keeps getting better. It's jumping around, but it's a lot lower than it was. For me personally, I don't notice a big speed difference in 3.2. Look, I'm up at almost 90 degrees here. Well, 83, 86, 87, 89. I'm up at almost 90 degrees while rendering or playing a game. So if I go down to even 3.0, if I move them down all the 3.0, and I just clicked apply, my temperature's still going to stay up around 80 degrees. It'll drop a couple, it'll still stay up around 80 degrees. I don't notice that much speed difference when I'm at 3 or 2.7. So watch what happens if I go down to 2.7 on everything. 2.7 instead of 3.0 over here. We're at 3.0. Let me click apply. Now we're going to go down to 2.7 once it all kicks in. And now watch my temperature drop down to 70. it's going to drop down to 70. It's going to take a second. But by going from 3.0 gigahertz to 2.7, my computer runs about 10 degrees Celsius lower, which is a huge difference. And it should make my laptop last a lot longer being cooler, since I use it as my desktop. It's my go everywhere computer, but it's over here, it's my desktop as well. So being 10 degrees cooler at 2.7, sure, I could overclock this and get a little bit more speed, but I don't notice a real-time difference. I've ran my rendering. Right now I'm making a video here actually about this Cooler Master cooling pad I have it on, and while I'm rendering this video in 1080 by 60, I notice very little difference when I'm in 2.7 gigahertz or 3.5 gigahertz. The actual speed of rendering is very similar. So why have my CPU running at 89 degrees, 20 degrees higher almost, when I could have it running around 70, 72, and be a lot longer lasting? Computer components wear out the hotter they are. So the more you can keep them cool, the longer they're going to last. So again, that's how you overclock. Check your processor frequency, set it all the way to highest as you want, see how much it gets throttled, and then set it to whatever number it stops throttling at. And then if you want to underclock it a little bit, go ahead. But the maximum you're going to get is when it's, when it stops thermal throttling, as I showed earlier. You can also lower these voltages even a little more. I've seen people put these all the way down to negative 100. I think this is millivolts. And the lower you get, the more chance you have it being unstable. But these millivolts, as you see, it's still like in the middle. You can lower this down a lot more and save some heat as well. But you got to be careful. The more you lower that, the more chance of an unstable system. So I just did a little bit, and then I set to 2.7, so I have a nice cool system. Over here you can go to stress test, and you can stress test everything. And I'm basically stress testing everything right now because I'm rendering a 1080 by 60 video. So that's stress testing my CPU, memory, and GPU all at the same time. This stress test does one at a time. So as you can see there, around 70 still. So that's how to overclock the Intel 4710 with the Extreme Tuning Utility. Of course, you can use BIOS and do more tuning, but for this processor and laptops, this utility does everything you need, as you saw. So, have any questions, let me know. See y'all later.